Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Carl's Roller Coaster Podcast. So I've got my good friend Joseph Warner here today with me. How you doing, brother?
I'm very good, Carlos. Thank you for having me.
Good stuff. Well,
This is
yeah.
ace.
You're supposed to be the very first one, but you're a busy man, so
I bailed.
it took a few weeks for us to get here to sit down, even though we get to see each other, well, a good 4 days of the week.
Yeah, we see a lot of each
briefly
other.
every now and then.
But not quality time.
Not quality time.
Yeah. Ships
But
in
when
the
we
night.
have quality time, we do have quality time, don't we?
We do. We do. We've known each other for a while now as well, haven't we?
Yes. What? Fucking 3 years? 4?
I've worked there for 3 years, probably 4 though.
Yeah.
Because I was around before that, wasn't I?
Yeah. Before that, you're just lingering around and being by the reception desk, checking people's names for mixing networks.
Yeah.
And
Feeling really out of place in my all black suit.
Yeah, and eating. This is a good one, actually. I remember you having your like a bowl, and then you would have some sort of nuts mix there. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I gotta tell you a little secret. There was once that I looked in it. I was like, that looks interesting. There's some Brazilian nuts there. Picked up on one.
You started eating them.
But I didn't eat
That's
your
no
yogurt,
secret,
by the
man.
way.
I knew you were doing that.
Really? No way. I did it
That's
just
good.
once. Nah. But no, I didn't touch your yogurt, by the way. You asked me the other day. Now I
Someone's
saw
been
it
at
in the fridge.
Someone's been spooning at it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Eating
First world problems, eh?
First world problems. Eating people's yogurt. That's a crazy thing. So, Joe, my friend. So, yeah, man. Well, what's going on? What's happening on Joseph's life?
What's
my good
cracking in my life?
my good friend, good actor, great administrator here at the Alderama Arts Center.
I'm killing the admin scene right now.
You are killing the
admin scene.
Yeah. And what else? You're the official finance purchaser. What's the title of that?
What, my job here?
Yeah.
What do they call me? Purchasing manager.
Purchasing manager.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
It's great. No, I'm happy. This is it's a wicked place to work. Diorama. I think it's really sorted us all out, hasn't it? It's given us a platform to earn some money whilst also stay on track with our own creative ambitions. That was stupid. Yeah, it's cool. It's good to have a day job which you actually care about and you want to do well in. But
Yeah,
also, I
and-
think we've all got our own things going on, like this podcast.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's good to have flexibility and absolutely. And for us as well, we live locally, so it makes it even more convenient.
Oh,
Coming
yeah.
and going. The
It's quite
daily
cool, that,
grind.
isn't it? We live in zone 1 of the
Well,
best.
you live
one of the
zone
best-
1, I live zone 2.
You pretty much zone 1.
Yeah.
You can walk everywhere.
Yeah, I can.
It's great.
Yeah. I think there's there's a slight the distance between where I am and where you are. It's actually that kind of distance that if you're going out at night and you're gonna meet somebody, say in Soho, you don't walk because that will
Yes,
take me a good
slightly.
35, 40 minutes walking, whereas for you it would take 20, 25 tops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and for me, it's so convenient because I have like a bus stop in front of the house that takes me to Soho in 15, 20. So, which is good as well because when you live centrally, I think, using public transport not using public transport makes you save a little bit of money. But then if you have to use public transport, you can use buses, which are cheaper and they're good buses, those new buses.
I do not miss using the tube at all.
I know.
It's a great life.
It's a great life, yeah. I remember the days when I used to buy weekly travel cards, and my goodness, that was expensive.
Yeah.
Sure, that's so expensive. So much money towards transport. So yeah, tell me about it, Joe. Tell me, I want to know things that I don't know, basically, and you probably be able to. Tell me a little bit about it. How was your growing up in Wales and life back in Wales when you were a kid?
It's a great place to grow up, that's for sure. So I come from a town called Colwyn Bay, which is North Wales, not far from the border between England and Wales. It's quite a big town, and it's not very Welsh. It's quite it's pretty much a commuter town. So lots of people commute to Manchester and Liverpool. It's about an hour to each of those cities. So it's it was quite an English town, even though it was in Wales, which is why my accent is quite neutral. My parents are both from down south as well, but great place to grow up, and you can certainly say that in hindsight. I think when you're growing up anywhere, it's probably true for anyone. You think the place there's nothing going on there. It's boring, blah 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 blah. But when I go back there now, it's great. It's right by the sea. I've got the mountain range of Snowdonia 20 minutes away.
Is it 20 minutes only?
Yeah, I get to Snowdon in about 35 minutes. I can be up Snowdon, back down, and back in my house within like a 6-hour trip.
Wow.
It's a very nice place to live.
What's the population there? Do you know?
Of the town?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think it's no, I wouldn't even hazard a guess. I think it's like 50,000.
Oh, wow, that's tiny.
Is it?
50,000, yeah.
For a town?
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah,
that
well,
might be completely wrong.
yeah, 50,000 is like, it's more like, not even, yeah, a town, I suppose, yeah. A village would be, what, 15, 20,000, yeah? So
Yeah, it's bigger than a village. Yeah, and then there's lots of towns nearby as well.
How far are you from Cardiff?
Oh, miles.
Oh, yeah?
I think London's probably closer.
Mm.
Driving-wise, not distance-wise, but the time it takes to get there. Yeah, I didn't go to Cardiff until I was like 18 years old. So
you grew up there, and when did you like decided to move to London? Was there a turning point that you like? It's about time to. Did you live up to your parents till 18? What was
yeah,
that?
as soon as I turned 18, I straight out of there. My mum is she's a very avid believer in you should work from the moment you can work. So she got me a job when I was 12 years old.
Oh wow! Did she? What were you doing? What did she get you?
I worked in a butcher's shop.
Butcher's shop.
Yeah.
Wow, that's.
My dad did it when he was young as well. Weirdly.
Mm.
But yeah, when I was 12 years old, just before I turned 13, she got me the job, which I'm fairly sure was illegal. But it was good for me because even though it was only I think I did about 9-10 hours a week. I did like an hour after school every day, and then a couple of hours on a Saturday, just helping him close up, clean the fridges. Quite disgusting, but it's a good experience for a kid because I had a bit more money than everyone else, so it meant that I could like buy myself treats, buy myself a hi-fi, buy myself a scooter.
You bought yourself a scooter?
Yeah, saved up for a moped when I was 16, so I could get straight on the road.
Wow.
You need a vehicle where I'm from. You can't get around any other way.
And is it legal for you to just ride a moped when you're 16?
16, yeah, that's the legal age. You don't even have to take a test. You just got to do training day, and then you're on the road. It's bad, really, because I was.
Yeah, I think it can be quite dangerous, right?
Very dangerous. I came off it on day one. Literally just going a little bit too fast around the corner, slid on some leaves. Never told the parents. They would have taken it off me straight away.
It's straight away, yeah.
But that all came from working at the butcher's. I worked there for 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Wow, so did you actually get your hands dirty, like chopping stuff and
I make the best pies in North Wales.
Oh wow! So you do have the skill. If you need to get into a butcher and cut
I
animals
probably
into
could.
pieces,
Nah.
you know how to do it.
I used to do a bit of the butchering, but I was mainly the guy that did the burgers, the sausages,
Oh, I see.
the kebabs, the pies, sandwiches, sandwich meats.
Would you get some stuff to get home, like for free?
Hell no, he was the tightest man alive.
Really?
Lovely man. Like he's great. He's called Paul. Really nice fella. But no, he would never give me anything free. You'd think he'd give you like a joint to go home with on a Sunday, like to have your Sunday roast, but never.
Never.
Like even getting a pie out of him that I made, and I made like 100 every hour. It was ridiculous. I couldn't even get one off him.
Oh my god! But he fed you while on your shift.
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
If he was hungry.
And how far from home was that? Did you
down
walk?
the road?
Just down the road.
Yeah, down the road. I used to get a bus back from school, go home, get changed, and then just walk down the hill. Put in an hour, and then walk back up the hill.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
So you were active as a kid, like walking up and down, and were you one of those kids that had a bicycle as well, cycling?
The road was too steep, man. The road was like that. It was.
Is it?
Yeah.
Where your parents' houses?
Yeah, we live. So Colwyn Bay, there's a hill, and then on top of the hill it's Colwyn Heights, and that's where we lived. So we kind of were on top of everything around, and the road up to my house is very steep. So having a bike, it's great going down, but absolute ball ache to get back up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah, even going down, it's a pretty steep downhill, it sounds.
Yeah, it's fun though. Used to go down on a skateboard on our asses. Fell off that a few times. But that's what I mean. That's why it was a great place to grow up, because I think anywhere where it's not a city, you've got the freedom to kind of go and play outside, haven't you? And we had like all these hills, we had woodland and fields, and we had loads of stuff to play out in. So yeah, it was great.
You have siblings, right? You have a sister?
Yeah, I got an older sister,
Yeah.
Sam. She's recently got married.
Got married, yeah.
Yeah, she got married last year, which is ace, in Italy.
Yeah, that trip looked fantastic, man. So nice.
Something about that country.
Yeah, you see, it's one of those things. I mean, that could be a trip that I would love to do it as a holiday, similar to what we did last year when we went to Portugal. But to go to Italy somewhere and just explore. I've been to like Milan and Rome and those places, but Italy has so much more to offer. Than,
it's
than
not
those
about the
big
cities
ones.
for me.
It's not about the cities.
Italy.
Yeah.
They're great, but it's when you go to the small like villages on the coast and these small farm towns. And
Where was the place that you guys went again?
we went all over, but we went. The wedding was in a place called Borgo di Tragliata, which is about half an hour outside of Rome. Just a little.
So you flew to Rome and then you guys drove to.
Flew to Rome, spent the day in Rome, and then how did we get there? One of the people attending the wedding gave us a lift, and then spent a few days in this. It's basically a farm in the middle of nowhere, but it's stunning. I think it's 1,100 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got some history.
Got some history, of course. Yeah,
Pretty sure it was haunted.
Did you
cool.
feel any spirits while we were there? Did you feel any?
I was far too drunk to.
Far too drunk to.
Yeah, the word go. Wicked.
So cool.
Going back, where were we?
No, yeah. Well, you left then your parents' house. Well, you started work at the age of 12.
Yeah.
Your mum put you to work, basically. Worked 5 years there. So at the age of 17, I'm assuming you quit the job. And then
when I was 7, because I was one of the young ones in my year, so I turned 18 just before I went to university. So it was pretty rapid. So when I was 17, went on one last holiday with my school friends, quit the job, and then packed my bags and moved to Manchester, and did a degree in advertising and brand management, which was a terrible choice. I really didn't like the degree. I'm not entirely sure why I picked it. I think it was because when I was younger, I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about what I was going to do in the future. Just kind of rolled with it.
So during your teenager years, you didn't have anything that, oh fuck, I would love to do this, or perhaps I could be good at doing that.
I had dreams. I always wanted to be a pilot, and I was very set on being a pilot. And then when I was about 15, in school we had opticians come into school, which I thought was strange. I think they were opticians. They were testing our eyesight anyway, and my eyesight is solid, 20/20 vision, always has been. But then they did this test, which have you ever done it with the colour dots? Colour vision test.
I don't think I did.
So it's like a book of
numbers,
actually, and it's all just different colours, and then within the circle, it's got a different colour number surrounded by other colour dots, and it's all to test your field of colour vision. And I was doing okay on it, but struggling. And then it got to about the midway through this test, and all I was seeing was a blur in front of me. I was just like, well, that's just a circle of green dots. And they were like, give me the kind of nod of acknowledgement, and then carried on to the next one. I was just like, nope, nothing there. And then they keep moving on. They don't explain that there's a number there. They just turn the page. And then it got to this one. And I was like, could see that one, 24. And then they were like, yeah, that was a trick question, that one. If you saw the number, then that meant you were colourblind. So yeah, they told me I was red-green colourblind, and that meant that I couldn't be a pilot. So yeah, I think then I didn't really know what to do.
So that was the end of it.
Yeah, and I didn't actually explore if it was possible to be a pilot. I was just told by these people that you had to have perfect colour vision to be what I wanted to be. So I just accepted that and
Moved
went
on.
went about my business. Kind of cared that much. Yeah, so I didn't really have an outright ambition.
But then, what did you have any chats with your parents about it? Like, mom and dad, hey, listen, about time for me to move out. Gonna go to uni. Have no idea what to do. Well, did they ever ask you, hey Joe, so what are you planning on doing at university? I'm sure you guys had that conversation
my
at some
theory
point.
on how I got into what I got into was I've always loved film. Ever since I was little, I've been obsessed with film and TV, but not just general television, like good quality TV shows, usually American shows. And I used to always talk about it to my parents. I used to talk about what I liked about it, and like when a good advert would come on, I talk about why I like that advert. And then they made the link for me that my interest was that in advertising. I'd be good at advertising because that's what I showed an interest in. But I think that was misinterpreted. My interest was in film. It wasn't in advertising. But I didn't think for myself when I was that young. I was happy to kind of follow someone else's lead. So they suggested that I'd maybe consider advertising as a career. So I looked into universities' prospectuses, and I mainly picked a degree that was in a city that I wanted to go to, which was Manchester. So this degree, advertising.
Why did you wanted to go to Manchester?
Because it wasn't too far from home. It's like hour and a half drive, 2 hours on the train. And it's a really good city to be a student.
It's the third biggest city in the UK as well. I think Birmingham is the second one, and then I think so. It's
a good city. It's got a lot going on. It's got quite a lively music scene, especially now. It's definitely on the rise. But yeah, I think I mainly chose the degree because of I wanted to be in Manchester. But as soon as I started the degree, I was like, whoa, this is not for me. It was very managerial based and all about theory and about meeting strategic marketing plans. And it was all about the kind of the cogs of the machine rather than the kind of the art form, which is what I'm interested in. I like film. I like the visuals elements. I like the ideas that go into things. And the degree was none of that. But everything happens for a reason, right? So whilst I was in my first year of university, acknowledging that I didn't like this degree, but I was committed to it because my parents were helping pay for my studies to begin with. I was like, I'm gonna follow through with this. I'm gonna do the best I can. But I got on my computer, and because I've got this kind of new sense of independence, which was amazing for me. I loved it from the word go, being on my own. I googled acting schools because acting was something that I'd always kind of enjoyed, but very quietly enjoyed it. For example, I never did any drama in school. I didn't do anything performance based. The only thing I did was in my English class. You'd read out books as a class, and different people would read different characters. I really embraced those lessons, and I'd do accents, and I'd really try and embody the character that I was reading one line of dialogue for every lesson. But I used to love it. I used to really look forward to English class for that reason. Not really putting two and two together. That maybe this is what I'm interested in. So when I finally got that kind of sense of independence, I thought maybe I'll explore this avenue and Googled acting schools in Manchester. And what would you know? The Manchester School of Acting was literally 2-minute walk from where I was living. So I saw that as a sign. I was like, well, I may as well go and see what this is about. So got in touch. They invited me to audition, which was my first ever experience of not only auditioning but of acting. So I was shitting myself for this experience that I was going headfirst into. But yeah, as soon as I did that audition, got invited, got accepted to the school.
Oh wow!
I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
So that's the very first step of your very first step into the acting world.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah,
and it was totally self-discovery and self-motivated.
Completely,
right?
Yeah. And I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it for 2 years.
Really? You didn't tell your parents?
Didn't tell anyone. I just wanted it to be
You go into
my
uni,
thing.
and aside of that, you go into So what was this school all about then? You passed the audition, and then they invite you to the school to do a course too. What was
Yeah,
the
it was
deal?
so it was one night a week, so it's part time, but you'd prepare a scene or some homework outside of school, and then I think it was every Thursday night we'd meet up at the school, and we'd work on scenes, we'd work on technique. We'd part of it was kind of like therapy almost. There was a casting director called David Shaw, who's an incredible man. He's one of the most important people I've ever met in my life. I saw him as a kind of guru, a life guru. So because his lessons weren't about acting, they were about exploring your own psyche, basically. So alternate weeks we'd have acting, and then we'd have what you call archetypes, which is about exploring what makes you as a complete character. So he shares this theory that every person shares 4 common archetypes, characteristics, to put it simply. And then everyone's got 8 others that's individual to them. So I can't remember the 4 ones that everyone shares, but they're something that's common in everyone. You can spot these 4 qualities in every person you meet. But then we'd explore this. It was a list of hundreds of archetypes, and he'd go through them, talk about their positives and their negatives, their strengths, their weaknesses. And then if one kind of rang true to you, you'd say, I think that might be something that I've got. And then he'd go, okay, let's talk about it. And then he'd sit you on the seat and he'd talk about why you think this quality is in you. And he'd really go deep into your subconscious almost.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It was fascinating. I lived for it. It was life-changing because it was really helpful to look at yourself.
And how far were you in your degree at the time?
This was, I started in first year, and I followed it through until the end of my degree, I think. Maybe it might have been towards the end of my first year. But yeah, these lessons were just life-changing for me because I grew up in this small town with quite small town mentalities. You don't really explore emotion and yourself to this depth. It's not really spoke about, is it? I don't know if you had.
But this
that
is kind of
experience
like
growing up.
part of British culture in
Yeah,
a way,
we're
isn't
quite
it?
we're stiff, aren't we?
Stiff and very conservative, and somehow
Very.
that's I've been living here for 10 years, and I can tell because I am, or at least I've always been kind of like the opposite. When you express yourself, I just recently noticed this, and when I express myself, or Italian or Brazilian or Latin American person, when we express ourselves, we it's not that you cannot express yourself in the same way you do, but it's in a more contained way.
Yeah,
You are able to deliver what you have to deliver it in a more contained way.
Yeah.
Whereas I would be like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
I think that's great though. I love that passionate side.
It is very good in many ways, but it can be misinterpreted in others as well. If you don't know the person, or depending on what are you dealing with, you might come across, people might be like, too much. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I don't mind. It's just I do think it's a very positive thing. But again, cultures are different, and things can be misinterpreted in the same way that perhaps some random British guy can be misinterpreted by being a bit arrogant, by not being very open or talkative. But he's just a bit more conservative, a bit more private. But I mean, I find it amazing that what you just said about the 4 character and then perhaps having another 8. It's just amazing. And for yourself, like going through that, it must have been like absolute wonder
It was
a self-discovery journey, basically.
Yeah, it was therapy. Like I fully believe what I went through and what everyone who was on the course with me, the main reason they were there was because it was a therapy session.
Did you make any good friends on your university years? Like that you met when you entered university and when you finish university, and you're still in touch with them?
Yeah, I've got 3 very good friends that I'm still friendly with now.
And did they follow the path of whatever the degree leads to?
I don't think any of them did.
No,
They're all involved. So we were all kind of business. We all went to the business school.
Because at the end, exactly, that's one of the things I was going to say. Your degree somehow helps you in, what you do these days as well, isn't it? Like, not really?
Not really.
No?
I really thought my degree was awful. I thought it was just a really poorly thought out degree. It was just one of these ones that are thrown out there, and the teachers were just uninspiring. The subjects were just dull. The facilities were terrible. It was just a very uninspiring place to be. And my attendance was just awful. I think I was like 13% in final year.
Wow.
I just never went because it was just pointless. I need to be inspired. I think you're the same. You have to have someone who's passionate about something to be able to learn from them. And these people just weren't passionate, so neither was I.
So when you finished then your degree, at the same time you finished your acting course, and then that's when you broke the news to family and friends about it. Why at first did you keep it?
Because I just wanted it to be my thing. I just really wanted it to be something that I could quietly focus on and not have to really talk about it to people, because I knew people would have kind of opinions on it as a career choice, and I just couldn't be asked with that whilst I was trying to get into it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want to have my parents talk to me about, oh yeah, it's a good hobby to have, but have you thought about maybe using your degree to get a real job? That's what they always just explain it as, a proper job. I just really didn't. I knew that was going to come whenever I told them, so I'd rather delay that to when I'm deep into my studies and I'm fully accepting that this is the path I want to go down. Then I'll talk to them about it. And
then when you graduated and you finished this course, what did you do next?
So then I was in a bit of a predicament because I wasn't even 21. I was 20 when I finished. And my sister, a few years before, I think, but as I started university, she got a job in Florida working in Disney World. And I went to visit her and saw everything she was up to. And it was just the best thing for a young person to do, because it's all the perks of university. You're living with people that are like-minded, and you're kind of sharing life together. You're working together. You're in Disney World, so you get to go to all the theme parks for free. You can go across Florida. You can travel America. And you've not got the responsibility of studying, so it's just a literal year of freedom. It's a gap year, but for Mickey Mouse, it's a really unusual opportunity. So I always said that I wanted to do it, but then that was before I really kind of accepted that acting is what I wanted to go down, and I was very set on I'm going to make this acting game work. But then I think some part of me applied for this job, even though I didn't really want it, because I thought I need to concentrate on the acting thing. But I still applied anyway, got an interview, went to the interview in London, waiting for this job to come up, and then they were like, yep, you got the job, you're going in 3 weeks. I was like, oh shit. Wow. So I almost turned it down. But
did you have anything in the acting world lined up, or did you have an idea of what?
Not really. I
did
did want to make the leap to London, but I had no idea what I was going into. So I was very up in the air, and I had all my family and friends talking me into this Disney job. So I was just like, right, screw it. I got offered this job. Normally it was a year program, but I took over someone's visa, so I got 8 months. So I was like, well, it's not too long. It's 8 months of fun. So
make some money.
Make some money, and it's good money over there. So it's good money because you earn tips, but Disney pay you fuck all.
Really? Well, it's kind of like
it's awful, man.
Yeah, big enterprises tend to be like that. It's just
in America, yeah, they don't have the same rights as we do they? Workers' rights.
Yeah, but then you get like Starbucks here in the UK. Wasn't this talk that I think they raised the employees' wages, but they were paying like peanuts to their employees, really? Like $7.80 or something per hour, and it's it's the UK. You don't get tips here at
No,
all.
yeah.
And then you imagine like that's one of the things that made me dislike them very much. And I just promised myself, it's just one of those things, one day that I read about the employees' wages. I read about them not paying a penny in tax in the UK. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's awful.
People like earning bloody 22K a year, pay that 20% tax, and then you get a massive company like that not paying tax. I was like, you know what, you don't get my money anymore.
Yeah.
And I just stopped going. I used to like the brand. I think
I don't. I reluctantly bought this today because it's the only coffee shop open.
It's
around
the only
here,
one
so.
coffee shop open.
Starbucks
Yeah.
should get my money
Pratt,
today.
if you're hearing this, anyone from Pratt, you should keep your Pret a Manger branch at Regent's Place open during the weekends as well.
So we can go get a coffee.
Because we do that on weekdays, but during the weekends you're always shut. But yeah, so sorry, just going back to the Disney thing. Yeah, big enterprises. I mean, it's not, sometimes you work because it looks good on the people's eyes as well, and I think it's a good thing on your CV as well, because when you work for not a franchise, but a company like Disney. It's Disney, right? I mean, it does give you credit. I mean, you people looking at your CV, I think it credits you.
If you want to have a career as a waiter for the rest of your life, you're starting at the top. So yeah, lined you up. But,
so he paid you peanuts, and then, but what was the job then? What did the
peanuts? It was like $2.80 an hour.
What?
Yeah, it's a crime, man. It's literally just to tick a box that they're proving that they pay you something.
But you got like accommodation, food. And
yeah, and that it just about paid for my accommodation, which was.
And what was the food like? No,
shit, man.
So let's just go a little bit back. So what was the job all about, and where did you leave while you were there?
I worked in a place one of the theme parks called Epcot. Have you ever been to Florida?
I've been to Miami only.
Right.
Just briefly as well. I never stayed long there.
So Orlando is basically just Disney World with a few other theme parks thrown in. But they've got three or four theme parks and 2 water parks. So people work in all of them, and they're usually Americans because they've got lots of college programs and things. But in Epcot, they've got a world, if they call it the World Pavilion Showcase, I think they call it that. Can't even remember. But basically, it's a lake, and then around the lake, they've got kind of small versions of different countries. So they've got Italy, they've got Japan, they've got Finland, Norway, Britain, and a few others. But in each of these, thank you, mate. In each of the places, they've got people that are from those places. So it's the international I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, they scout people from all these countries. So they've got authentic staff working there. So I worked in the UK part, just in a pub, and it was great. Working with
just pub work, basically.
Yeah, just pub
pouring
work.
Drinks and serving people.
Yeah, working in the restaurant. But the tips were mega, because those Americans love us. So I used to play up to it, say I knew the Queen, etc., etc.
Did you?
Yeah, I used to tell a story about Prince William and Kate, because they spent early on in their engagement, they were based in Anglesey because he was still working for the RAF, wasn't he? And Anglesea's near where I'm from, and they once went to my local cinema. So I made out like I was in the cinema with William and Kate, and they were just like, "Oh my God, I love that! You know them?" I was like, "Yeah, see them all the time." Tips.
First moment of Joe showing off his accent skills.
My accent skills. But yeah, it was just a year of partying.
And then where were you leaving that? So you're working in the pub.
Yeah, so it's basically like university
accommodation.
Halls. Yeah, wicked, like proper gated community with security, swimming pool, gym.
Oh man, sounds like a big, massive holiday for a 20-year-old.
It's mental. It was every night there was a party going on somewhere. Like the Italians would be throwing one, the Brazilians, the Canadians. Everyone would be finding the party every night. It was just
and food-wise,
too much fun.
How did you eat? Did you have an allowance? Did you eat in a?
What you want. You earn money, which we pretty much out every night.
So you didn't get fat. You had to pay for food.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but and the money that people were on over there, especially because everyone's like 21 years old, they're not saving for shit. It's literally all that cash you're making, which is sometimes it's like some of the guys working on the bar were making 1,000 a day. It was insane money.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's just crazy.
$1,000 a day.
Their best day was like 1,000 each, and that's 5 of them. Five bar people each making $1,000.
Jesus.
So yeah, we were making money faster than we could spend it. But it was great. Like people were like renting out Mustangs for the year. Like we'd go down to Miami for a few days. We were ballers and we were just waiters. It's crazy.
Amazing. And then after 8 months, you finished that job and then you came back to the UK.
Came back and fuck me, it was painful.
Did they offer you to kind of like do it again? Do they do that?
No,
kind of
some people do, but because I took over someone's visa, I didn't have the option to extend, which was good in a way, because like it's too good a thing, so you kind of have to accept that it's limited and it's a once in a lifetime thing, and you have to get back to reality, which I did, and I struggled for a while because I had no money. I blew everything over there. Stayed an extra month on a tourist visa, rented an apartment and a car, and I was just meeting my friends after work every day, going to restaurants with them and stuff. I spent every last penny, but it meant when I came back that I was in a tricky situation because I was moving back in with my parents, which was in North Wales where no one was. Everyone had kind of got on with their life, so everyone was working in cities around the country or off traveling around the world. So yeah, it was very tough to come back to that. I'm pretty sure I was clinically depressed in those months following.
What did you do? So you got back and then you went to your parents and then...
Well, I had a girlfriend in Florida, and
man, that's difficult.
Yeah, and we left together. Well, no, as in we were still together when I left, but inevitably it kind of it fell apart, and then I fell apart because I lost Disney, I lost my girlfriend, I'd lost all my money. So it felt like, oh, it's the end of the world. So it took I think I was about 8 months again to save up. I was working in Tesco, hating life daily, earning pittance. Like it was really tough to try and save the money to get out. But I think about 4 months after I got back, I got speaking to Mike from Mixing, who I didn't really know. I went to university with his brother, but I knew that he was an actor. He'd been living in LA and he was still in LA, but he had a company that uses this space, Mixing Networks, and he needed someone to run it in London. So he got in touch with me saying, if you're thinking about giving London a go as an actor, this is an opportunity for you to do these workshops once a week.
So this goes a long way back. Mixing Networks, wow.
Yeah, and it was quite small to begin with. He had like one event a week. He's now up to about, I think he does 5-6 a week now sometimes. But it was a way to kind of come down here, have a bit of a purpose, have something to do. His brother had a place going. He had a spare room, so I moved in with his brother. Did this once a week, and then I started trying to figure out this acting game, how to make a go of it down here. And it was, I'm sure you felt it as well. It's quite a daunting place when you first move to London, isn't it?
It is very. I wouldn't imagine that it would be that daunting for you because you were just born next door to it. But for someone that comes with a completely different background, it is. I mean, I was lucky in the sense because when I was 18, I came to London just to study as well. So I did 2 months of studying here.
Oh, so you knew it.
So I knew already. Yeah, when I moved to London, when I made the decision to move to London, it wasn't just I was coming here for the first time and getting to know the place. So for me, it was slightly different. I came with a clear goal as well. I knew what I wanted to do. I had like a track already in regards of with my music. I had a clear idea of what I wanted.
You call. You've always got a plan.
I had to, man, because it was not easy. It was not easy because I was living at my parents at the age of 25. And at that stage I quit. I had quit already the university because I was doing law didn't know what to do as well. Same scenario as yours. Didn't know what to do, and just went for like, people down there, people everywhere basically do. You go for law, you go for administration, you do business, you do management, you do medicine school, things like that supposedly will give you safety in the future, which obviously we all realize years after that's just not true. The market is saturated with lawyers and saturated with this and saturated with that. If it's not something they really want to do, you're not going to be very good, and if you're not very good, your space is just your space for you in the market will be very limited. But I was like, and then I quit university because I was touring and doing a lot of stuff in Brazil with music at the time. But then moving to London was just I just got to a point where I got to do something, and if I stay here, there's only this much that I can do, and I proved to be right, because I look back and my friends, I mean, lots of people did pretty much what I would have done. They succeeded in many ways with music, teaching, or touring, or doing this and doing that. But their lives didn't improve a lot, and they haven't seen the world in the way that I've seen it, and experienced the things that I experienced. But anyway, that's beyond the point. But coming to London for me wasn't very difficult. And on my first year here in London, I came with literally like money to support myself for a month, but I had a very good friend of mine living here at the time. So I crashed on his couch I was supposedly, when I moved in, I said, I'm just going to stay here for a couple of weeks till I figure out where to live. I ended up living on his living room for 6 months.
Shit.
And eventually a girl moved out from the house, so I rented her bedroom and ended up staying there for another year and a half, so 2 years in total till
It started as 2 weeks, you were there
it
for 2
started
years.
2 weeks, exactly. Yeah. But it was great, man, because we were all 25, 26 and 27, I think, at the time, and everybody living in the house was people from my hometown.
Really?
Himself, my friend, and his friends living in the house were people that I knew from back in school. So I didn't move in with strangers apart from this girl that I met at the time, living in a house at the time as well. So it was kind of like, I don't know, there's this, even after I moved out from the place and I went to live in Leytonstone which was my next home for a year, still had this feeling of kind of like, living with your friends and, making barbecues and like, jumping from one job to the next, just enjoying life. But then it gets to a point where the fun stops and you just kind of like, fuck, I need to crack on something. But then you're saying about moving and being a very strange place at first, perhaps. You're living with Mike's brother and then you're doing mixing networks for a week. You surely couldn't afford to pay your rent with doing mixing.
I don't know how I did it. I genuinely don't. I was like really earning pennies to start. I don't even know if Mike was paying me. I think it was a favour to begin with, and then he started paying me, I think. But even if he was, it wasn't a lot. So yeah, it was kind of, time was ticking to get the job down here before I'd have to pack my bags and go back.
So what was your first like actual paycheck in London?
I worked for an events company, kind of like you did.
Yeah.
You did events work, didn't you?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I was on about £6.70 an hour. It's criminal.
Yeah.
But like every day
working
you'd
at
work
Wembley or
yeah,
Twickenham, something
all the
like
football
that.
stadiums.
Yeah.
Fucking awful jobs.
Awful
Like,
jobs.
so bad. Just like cattle getting rounded up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Stick you on a hot dog stand.
Oh man.
Treat you like shit
Yeah.
and then give you no money whatsoever.
No money whatsoever.
But it meant you could kind of pay the bills. But it was really difficult because it took about a year and a half before I actually realised, holy shit, why did I move down here? It was to have a go of a career, and just because I was not earning much, it meant that I couldn't spend any time to work on something constructive. I was just literally trying to pay the bills.
But then during your first year here, did you get involved? Did you get more involved with acting somehow? Like,
not really. I lost kind of.
So kind of like after your course in Manchester, and then you went to Disney and then moved to London, you pretty much kind of like didn't do anything.
Not really. And I tell you what, when I was with this girl in Disney, I I thought I got kind of love drunk, and I was like, oh, I'll move to Ireland with you, and I'll get a job using my degree. She's Irish.
She's Irish.
Yeah, so I was considering moving over to Northern Ireland to make a go of it, which would have been the worst decision in the world.
Oh yeah, man, we all think like that
Yeah,
when
man.
we're young.
Crazy thing, innit?
First love, yeah.
Thank fuck it didn't work
First,
out.
second, third love sometimes,
Yeah. But yeah, I'd lost focus with the acting then, and then when I moved to London, just trying to pay the bills, I lost focus again because
it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, yeah. But I had a little bit with the workshops. So every week I was meeting a different casting director, occasionally joining in with the workshops. But that was about all I did. And then after about a year and a half, I joined this acting school. It was called YPTC in Camden. It's now called Raw, and that was the kind of spark up my arse to get back into it, because you quickly remind yourself of why you do it, and you get this feeling that this is right, because you feel, wow, I'm good at this. Like it's nice to have the purpose, isn't it? So yeah, when I joined that school, I was back, and I was ready to really give it a go.
And how many days a week was that?
That was just Saturday week, all day, every Saturday. Get there at like 8 a.m, and then sometimes you'd be there till 8 p.m. Long day, very intense, very sweaty, very ugly, get dirty, but a lot of fun. And that's when I really felt I'd found a home in London, because I'd met some amazing people. I've met my best friends in London through this school, who I'm friends with to this day. And that was the kind of real, right, this is happening.
What I want to do, yeah.
This is happening now, yeah.
And then what did you live for the whole year at Mike's brother?
I lived there for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, I think.
Wow.
And then the couple that I was living with, Mike's brother and his girlfriend, they'd started to earn quite a bit more money, and where we were living was Cricklewood. It's an absolute shithole. So they were like, right, we need to actually enjoy London. So they decided to get an apartment in Central, in Marylebone, and that was in the summer, about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I think.
Is that where he lives now?
He's moved again now, but yeah, they had a nice apartment, top floor apartment. But I think they gave me about 4 months notice that this was happening, and I just didn't do anything about trying to find another place to live. For some reason, I just felt very confident that things would work out. And I have no idea why, but for some reason I just really didn't look for anywhere to live. And it came to like the week before, I was like, shit, I'm going to be without a home next week.
Way.
I had nowhere to go.
I think that's when I actually first met you, right? You were just on...
Probably,
I remember you saying that you like
early
on
days.
this very tricky situation where you like moving from one place to another and then crashing at a friend's place and having your stuff stored up here.
Yeah. It was... Yeah, so the moving day came, and they got the van. I literally had not even packed my stuff. I didn't even know how I was going to move everything, and I was just like, "Can I just throw my stuff in with yours, and then I'll get out. I'll help you move all your stuff in, and then I'll take my stuff to work, because I was going to store it here." So they were like, "Yeah, sure, throw it in the van," and I got in the back of the van with it. So I'm in the back of this van moving house. It's like, fuck me, what am I doing? And yeah, I ended up not getting a place to live for 6 months, but it was like the best 6 months I'd had in London up to that point, because I had all this time. It meant I could quit my old job working for this events company, working in Harrods, and it was a job that I hated. I hated it. It was making me an angry person. I really didn't like myself because of this job. It was making me really bitter. So I started getting shifts here. But it was nowhere near enough to pay for rent anywhere. So I just thought, well, I'll try and free up time to work in Diorama whenever I can. And the only way I can do that is if I carry on kind of couch surfing, going from place to place, occasionally having to sleep in the cupboard at work. Sorry, Jacob, if you're listening. But yeah, for 6 months, I just kind of went from place to place. Had all this spare time because I didn't have to pay rent. So the money that I was earning was money that I could spend on seeing friends, and I was seeing different friends every week. I think everyone was really enjoying having me stay on their couch because it meant they could spend time with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really makes you realize how valuable time is when you're in a situation like that.
And what was going on in your head? Like, what were you thinking? Okay, I need to.
Not really. It felt great. I felt so liberated, not being tied down with bills and things.
Mm-hmm.
And things just started falling into place. Everything was just naturally happening. Like I started getting more work here, which I really enjoyed. And then you came along and was like, I've got a room going in.
Yeah.
In the pub I live above. I was like, sweet, I'll move in for 5 months. So did that, and then it's led us to this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And when it comes to acting, what are your ambitions now? What do you want to do? What's the plan? Because you kind of like, in a way, something always happened, but now, where do you see yourself within the next 5 years? Not in terms of achieving things or becoming this or becoming that, but in the sense of like, you know what, I want to do this and I want to do that. And do you have anything like that in mind? Do you have any like goals in terms of, and when I say goals, I'm not talking about as succeeding at the eyes of people or on people's, from people's perspectives, which is, landing a big role in a movie or making money out of it. Personal things. Like for example, myself, I'm training my ass off to run a very fast, under my own circumstances, a very fast half marathon, a very fast marathon. I'm never going to win it. I'm not going to make any money out of it, nothing, but it means a lot to me, and I'm going to be a very happy person if I manage to succeed. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, and then obviously from doing those things and putting effort into it, other things might come my way in connection to that. So that's more or less the question that I'm asking you, within those terms.
Yeah, I think that's what you're doing in that. In you've got these hobbies but they're kind of professional hobbies almost, aren't they? It's something you take very seriously, and I think if people live by those values, often they'll find a way of making money out of it. If you are passionate about something, follow that, and eventually you're going to find a way to kind of fund yourself in life through that. And I think you're going down the right path with the running, the beer, the podcast, the music, all these interests that you have. It's going to lead you into a place where you're living a life and you're doing everything you love. I think that's a very good way to be. Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, man. And I try to do the same. Obviously, the acting is my main goal. That I will be a successful actor. I will be. I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. I'm not sure where. I'm not sure how I got here. So I don't know where the hell I'm going to be in a few years' time. Life has a funny way of taking you down different paths, doesn't it? But as I've gotten older, I've become very aware of appreciating where you are now, as opposed to thinking about the future. Because if you're so ambitious, if you're driven to reach this place where you call success, it's very easy to forget about the now, and you'll get quite down about it when things aren't going the way you want it to go, which inevitably is what happens for anyone trying to make a go of things in any art form. If you're trying to be a musician, if you're trying to be an actor, if you're trying to be a painter, the road to it is full of rejection, and it's full of anticlimaxes, things not matching up with expectations,
question marks everywhere.
Yes, there's no clear path, and I think if you don't consider what's good now, you're gonna it's a recipe for disaster. So that's what I try to do now. I try to really embrace the moment. I try to do everything I can, have very full relationships with my friends and my family, um, go on holidays with friends, while still making sure that I'm doing something to progress. And in terms of my career, I have been making small steps, and it's very easy to not value these steps that have come my way. For example, when I was in Manchester, I hadn't done any acting work. I was just doing the school every week. But one small step that happened was I had my first audition through the casting director, David Shaw. He invited me in to audition for this show that was on Sky One at the time. I think it's still on now. But that was a small victory, even though I didn't get the job. Just having a professional audition, that's a step. That meant that I was prepared for what to expect in any audition situation. And there's been lots of little things like that that aren't clear victories along the way, that I've now really started to understand that I have to acknowledge these things. So since then, I've had a few gigs. I've done adverts. I've made my own little film. I've booked my first professional BBC gig last year. And these are all very small things in the long run of things. It's not anywhere near as big as I want it to be. But considering where I was 5 years ago, the fact that I'm going to be on
you moving
BBC,
forward.
yeah, I'm going to be on BBC One this year. I'm going to be on HBO. I think it's on in America in June. It's crazy to think that millions and millions and millions of people are going to see my face on this show. I may be in it for 30 seconds, but that's an incredible achievement for me.
And from that, obviously, other things can happen. And I like the way you said it about understanding it and acknowledging it. The little steps that we take and the little things that we achieve. Because what's little for other people, it might be huge victories for yourself. And ultimately, that's what it matters, because if it's a victory for yourself and you're not imagining anything, you're not bigging up anything, you're giving the right amount of credit and value to that, as much as it deserves. You're not like, just, oh my God, this little thing happened to me and this is the best thing in the world, and no, but you are embracing that and you understand that gives you motivation and focus to keep going. And for outsiders, that might mean absolute nothing, fuck all, but I totally relate to that, man.
Yeah, of course, man. But your story's insane. The fact that you've performed on stage in front of thousands of people.
Yeah. And my mum never got to see that because she was never interested.
Really?
No, my mum was never. Hey, Mum, if you're listening to this, it's all good. My mum, she was great. Obviously, she she financed my studies. She financed even my musical studies. She paid for it. My first singing coach, she paid for it. Everything. My mum financed myself basically. And I wasn't a very cheap kid. I was quite of an expensive kid. But those, my ambitions and what I really wanted to do in life. And again, I totally understand, because you have to go back to where did my parents came from, what happened on their lives, what they have been through. It's different. Everyone is different. If you come from a small town, the very south border of Brazil, and Uruguay in the south of Brazil, and you've had a very tough, just slipped my mind. A very tough early days of bringing, and then you kind of have to work on and deal with whatever life throws at you, because then at the age of 23 you have a kid. Those things are things that I myself cannot relate to it, because I haven't experienced it. I've heard about it. When you hear things, it's one thing. When you experience things, it's obviously totally different. So credit to that, all credit to that. But fact is, emotionally I didn't get any support, and it was always this difficulty in the house because my dad was kind of like supportive and he wanted to support me, but then my mom didn't like it, so that created a friction between the two of them. My dad would lend me his car for me so I could drive up to the studio to rehearse the band, and my mom used to hate that because my mom actually paid for his car at the time. Things like that, mundane things.
So why was if she was funding everything, but she wasn't liking what you were doing?
Because I was doing law at university at the time as well.
Right.
So I was doing what on her mind was the right thing.
Okay.
I finished high school.
We're kind of similar then, really. That's
yeah. I didn't know what to do at university, so my mom accepted the fact that it's good for you to actually go traveling, because you're gonna improve your English as well. I was studying English since very early ages, since I think my mom put me on private English school since I was 8 or 9 years old.
Money well spent.
Which money well spent. Yeah, thanks mom for that, because she thought about the future, and luckily when I turned 18 and then I came to London to kind of keep studying English, I was already like very good at it. Writing lyrics and the band and all that as well going on. But then I went back to Brazil and enrolled to university and started doing law, because it was kind of like, just I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to do music, but again, same situation as yours. And for my mom, by doing that, I was on the right path of life. I was on the right track.
Yeah.
So
she could sleep at night.
Exactly. She could sleep at night, and
he's gonna be all right.
He's gonna be all right. He's gonna turn. Even though he's doing his singing lessons, he's doing music classes, but yeah. But then things started to get more serious because I was invited to go and tour with a very big, super rock pop kind of thing, famous in the south of Brazil. They're all friends of mine, and they just started literally touring with them. I was 22, and tour bus, and they had like #1 hits on the radio in the whole south of Brazil. And I talk about the whole south of Brazil, I'm talking about like, man, size of bigger than Ireland, bigger than Wales. So it's kind of like a country. Brazil is a huge place. So being big in that area means like being big, say, in the whole of the UK in terms of numbers and territory and all that. So it was crazy. Like lots of fans. They were playing shows for like 5, 7, 8, 10,000 people. Festivals for 50,000 people. Living in tour buses and hotels. And when I would get back to my parents' house, I would get there, drop my stuff, and we had money. We could straight away partying, and go find girls and drive their cars to other places, to the mountains, and spend the night in the mountains in this random hotel with some girls and drink champagne and shit like that. So I had to quit university but then at that point, my mom wasn't pleased, but he's making money.
Right, yeah.
He's making money, so
she went with it.
But then the touring thing came to an end eventually, and I was like, at that point when it came to an end, I was then with my first professional band with an album out, released in Japan, released in Europe, out in stores. Yeah, my friend that hosted me when I first moved to London, he bought my album at the time back in 2006 at the HMV store in Oxford Street.
Whoa.
So it was
amazing.
It was that, it was, things were happening. I was playing big shows in Brazil with my own band as well, But my mom, she was never supportive to it, so it was very complicated at the time. But I don't even remember why I started talking about myself.
This is a skill in itself, isn't it?
About this thing, but
it's going back to what you were saying about understanding where your parents come from.
The small achievements. That's why, because the small things that I was doing at the time, which weren't that small, like fucking hell, recording an album professionally,
tiny,
finishing the album in Germany with one of the biggest rock metal producers at the time, getting website and all of the business working, getting a contract in Japan, distributed by Universal Music, getting things done, getting tours with like playing in Brazil I was playing with Deep Purple in Brazil, 15,000 people arena. I was 23, and receiving gifts literally in 2006 when the album came out in Japan. on that Christmas, I was getting packages from Japan, from fans, gifts, people that researched about me online and knew that I was a fan of my football club that I was a fan of. And at the time, my football club was playing in Japan.
Wow.
So they got me the newspapers with Japanese from Tokyo, newspapers of my club arriving at the airport, blah, blah, pictures and all that. They put it on parcel, sent it over with gifts to my girlfriend, man, crazy stuff like that. But those things, like for my mom,
That's mental, though.
like what? I genuinely don't even think that she ever got an album on her hand and looked, oh, okay, that's your photo. Those are your lyrics.
That's nuts.
And that's nice. Well done. I don't think she acknowledged in any way that.
She's never listened to any of it.
She probably did at some point. Now, years have passed, but at the time, no. And I understand. I used to sing in my room. I used to practice every day. And it was.
You were doing it when I was living with you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, at the time I was still. Yeah, that's true. And that was very troubling as well because it was loud, and then we live in an apartment, so some of the neighbors would be a bit annoyed with that. So there was lots and lots of things that were not very good for my head at the time, but those small victories, you are doing the right thing. I mean, I always knew I was doing the right thing, but then obviously sometimes you have big letdowns in life, which I had like a few years back with my last band, my project. And
that's the British guys.
The British guys, yeah. And when you have a big letdown like that, then you question everything again. When you punch in the face and you're like in the corner of the ring, just like that, you put everything into perspective, and then you question yourself, and then you're like, yeah, I was wrong, Mum was right. But then you got to give time, and you got to believe in your gut and believe in yourself, and
totally.
Because if you don't sit just waiting for things and just wishing things to come your way, if you work with whatever you're doing towards where you want, man, things come your way. Things will happen. There's no way that you're gonna work towards something and nothing's gonna happen.
I think that's why parents are often kind of, we say they're not supportive. I'm sure they are in some way. It might not be clear to us, but at the end of the day, it's a protective thing, isn't it? Because they've not gone down this path that's not clear. Like the road we've chosen to go down is that it's our own path, isn't it? It's the risk is you're not going to get where you want to get to, and then you're going to be left on your own with nothing to do, and you're going to be struggling.
They gave me a chance to dream, basically, which they didn't have, which is amazing. When you have the chance to dream, I could dream about things. I literally, and I still do, but I literally could live several years of my life. But when I say dream, I was working towards that dream. I wasn't just sitting around and dreaming about things. And that's a wonderful thing when you can have financial support, to perceive things that other people perhaps dream about it. My mom, she always wanted to go and do law in school at university. She never managed to. She never had the money for it.
Is that why she got you to do it?
Probably because my sister ended up graduating in law. So so I didn't finish, but then my sister got into it and graduated. So somehow my mom got her dreams
fulfilled,
turned into fulfilled via her kids. And it's I think it's just amazing the fact that even nowadays when I talk to them, obviously they are concerned and they get concerned about things, but they're always thinking about the future and the future and the future and the future. And when you only think about the future, you, as you said, you don't live the now. So if you wait for the perfect day to go on a trip because they don't have the money now, or if you wait the perfect day to buy a new car, and you need a new car for whatever reason, it's part of your job to have a good car to drive around, and you keep postponing that because, man, money comes and goes. It's very hard to save money to do things like buying a house. I'm pretty sure that whoever buys a house, more often than you would think, doesn't actually have the money. It doesn't know what's going to happen within the next 10, 15, 20 years of mortgage they assume they will pay, So, but they say, you know what? Let's pull a bit of money here. Let's get, borrow some money from parents and stuff, and let's put on a deposit. Let's fucking go for this. you know, and somehow things will work out, because then you have a responsibility, and then you're going to go for it, and you're going to tackle it, and you're going to, you know, pay things. But that takes courage, and people want to be safe, and people in general just want to, like, you know, I want to be
safe's easy.
Safe is easy.
But yeah, safe, man.
I think we're very similar in that sense. Very, very similar. And how do your parents like these days? Do they ever sit with you, or like, I don't know, on a phone call, or sometimes, you know, how often do you talk to them? Like, do you guys chat? Do you have?
No, if I should, I'm bad on that in that regard. I speak to them. I message them a lot, but don't really pick up the phone, which is it's bad. I should do it more. Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Do you guys have some sort of WhatsApp group kind of thing?
Family?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're pretty active on that.
That's the thing as well, isn't it? With technology, I'm the same, man.
Yeah, it makes it.
I should pick
convenient.
up the phone way more often, and I don't. But then again, it's a tricky one. I see it as a very tricky one, because you connect and you talk to people that, number one, you have things in common. You want to share something. You want to chat about something that connects you two, the both of you, right? So, for example, I'll have to go back to my mum again. I mean, when I talk to her, most of the things that are important to me, that have a meaning to me, general things, running, football, life in general. My way of seeing things is very different than hers, and still is up to this day. So when you're so different when it comes to life interests, because in terms of personality we're very similar, but when it comes to life interests and things that you believe, say I'm a vegan, you're not, I'm this and you're not, and you just don't have much in common to talk, it becomes difficult, because when you call, you always chat about the same old things. How's the weather? Yeah, mum. Yeah, it's sunny today. It's very hot. Okay, great. What are you guys gonna have for lunch? Yeah, fine. You do that, but then if that's kind of like the extent of the content of your conversation, it becomes, you know. Do you know what I mean? I myself struggle a lot with that. You know, I struggle a lot because, again, as you said, I should be more in touch. Yes, I should, but you know, I perhaps should be more in touch with other people as well. But I'm in touch with the people that, you know, I'll give a call to Joe, or I'm going to go on a holiday with Joe, because we're going to chat about things that we share common interests. Yeah. You know, we and
well, that's the difference between friends and family, though, isn't it? Friends are chosen, family aren't. So you've kind of got to make it work with family, haven't you? I'm very lucky. My family, we're very close, and we can speak about pretty much anything, so I don't have that problem.
You even drink with your mum. I love that. When your mum came down to London, remember that day?
Me and my mum, yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
Well, every time I go back, we'll end up sitting up chatting till about 6 a.m.
Ah, that's great.
The sun comes up, we'll be chatting about everything.
Yeah, my mum doesn't drink. My mum,
does she not?
No, she's like, "You've been drinking too many beers, boy. You're gonna become an alcoholic." I'm like, "Mom, yeah, sure, whatever."
It's fine.
But with my dad it's different. With my dad,
you got a lot in common with your dad, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just messaged me today. He just ran a 6K in just a local race there, and he finished third, man, on the age of 65, which is his age, you know.
Amazing.
I'm like, yay, go on then.
Has he always been into running, or is that has it come off the back of you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Great.
Pretty much, yeah.
Especially when your parents are getting older, like the fact that you're getting them to be active is wicked.
The challenge is my mum.
Is she not?
Nah, she's not a very active person. She does her walking every now and then, but walking is just not enough. People think that, you know, I'm going to go out for a 30-40 minute walk. I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just not enough.
Especially, I think as soon as you hit 60, you've really got to make an effort, because you're going to deteriorate quick.
I just literally read an article in the Men's Health or Runner's World magazine last week, and I took a picture and I sent it over to my mum. Basically, what the article is saying is that up to the age of 65, right, you're able to implement a specific kind of training in your life, which would be a 4 to 5 week training sessions of high intensity training and other things as well, like strength training and all that, and you can basically get the same benefits that a very active person has been for the last whatever many years of their life. If you start exercising regularly up to the age of 25, you kind of like bulletproof your heart for several different kinds of diseases if you do it till the age of 65. After 65 years old, you start to go like super like downhill, if you don't do anything. Up to basically you are a youth, up to the age of 65. After 65, man, if you don't do anything, that's downhill. You're gonna age.
Well,
you're
you can
gonna
see
get
the
old.
difference, can't you, in older people that are active? It's crazy because you could get an old lady that's 85 and like struggling to move. She'll be like bedbound near enough, but you can also get an 85-year-old who's like springy, active, and I think it. Well, I don't know, but it's got to come down to just keeping active, keeping your mind active as well.
I was just watching earlier on, Tom Brady. He's the captain of Patriots, the NFL team in America. And they did, Facebook now has this thing, I don't know if you saw, Facebook, it's Facebook, you're not on it anymore, yeah, that's true. Facebook movies or something, they're doing like small documentaries, kind of like Netflix, like producing their own content.
Okay.
And they did a 4-episode, 15-minute long each, with Tom Brady about his life and his journey and his family and how does he keep up with being on top of his game, throughout so many years. He's been on NFL for like 18 years, I think. He's 40 now. So people are
That's crazy because I was listening to who was it today? A Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about NFL is joked about as not for long, because their careers are typically like 3 or 4 seasons. So he's been doing it for 18 years.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
But it's
crazy that he's still with it.
But that's the thing, and how he is still in extremely good shape,
Yeah.
And he tells, during the series what it takes to keep up in terms of the way that he approaches the game, the way that he treats himself, and the way that he looks after his body, his nutrition. He's like 24/7. He was just saying, man, I'm training 4 or 5 days a week. Then I go home. Then I watch some game. Some videos on to check the strategy of other players and other teams, and then I review my own game, and then I go eat, and then I spend some time with my family. The next morning, I'm doing the same thing, and it has been like that for the last 18 years of my life.
That's his job,
and amazing,
Yeah.
And then doctors saying that, analyzing his condition, his physical condition, saying that he's just capable of doing what he's doing it up to the age of 40 now because of the way that he conducted his life, and you choose how you age, basically, you just simply choose how you age. If you are an active person and you eat well, it's obvious that you're gonna live a longer life, injury-free in this case if you're an athlete, and illness-free as well. It's just a consequence of decisions that you make. And I think it's super difficult nowadays as well to make those decisions because we just don't have the information for it, isn't it? I mean, like, I don't know what you guys... I mean, your mom is pretty fit, isn't she? Like,
she's very active in her job. She's a care worker, and she's in the career she's supposed to be in. Like, that's her calling. She's a natural carer. She's incredible, and that means she's up and about, moving around, walking. She's constantly on the move, and she doesn't really rest until she gets home. So I guess she's her day-to-day fitness is good enough, but she doesn't do any actual exercise. She doesn't run. She doesn't play any sport. She doesn't go to the gym.
Do they eat well at home?
They eat. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's all healthy. They're very carb heavy. They have lots of pasta dishes. potato dishes.
Oh man, you just now
Very-
I'm just remembering what you cooked for yourself. You mentioned a little on
Lasagna.
Ah,
Yeah, it's all really good food, and my God, I love home cooking. They're very good home cooks, but yeah, it's probably not the healthiest it could be. But yeah, my mum, I think she really should start to make an effort with some exercise because she's approaching 60 now, so she's going to have to make a bit of effort if she wants to keep on ticking, fitness wise. And my dad's pretty good actually. He's played five-a-side every week for as long as I've been alive. Every Thursday since I was born, he's
wow.
played five-a-side, so an hour of that
Were
a
you
week.
into football yourself?
No, I did it. I gave it a go just because to please the dad, as we all do. But no, I was pretty shocking at it. Gave it up at like 12 because I had a fallout with my coach. But no, and the fact that he's 60 or 61. I think he's 61 now, but still playing five-a-side football. Like I think that's great. I think that's gonna
It is good.
do the world good.
Is there any complete change of subject? Any countries that you look forward to visiting on your life, and
Whoa.
if there's any like, what's the motivation behind it?
I need to make an effort to travel. I think.
You do, man. Yeah, take some short like city breaks. You know.
Yeah, well, I travel Europe a lot. I go on a couple of holidays a year to short city breaks, but no, I need to put some good trips in. When I was younger, I did a little bit. Went to Thailand. Went on a proper Euro trip, 5 weeks interrailing and stuff. Obviously lived in America for a year, so I did a few states over there. But no, I'd love to do the proper experience of traveling, like live in the bush and stuff like that. I'd love to do that, like go South Africa on a safari and things. That's probably the dream. So yeah, South African safari.
Just so many places to go and see.
Brazil,
man.
I want to come to
You
Brazil.
have to come down, man.
I really want to come with you.
You've been invited. You'll be a very welcome guest at the Casa Grande's household. Yeah, it's great,
big
man.
house.
Yeah, going on a holiday that's amazing.
Yeah, especially when you got a good tour guide. That's the key, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
God, you were so handy in Portugal.
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Worked fine. Yeah,
made it so
apart
much
from
better.
the fact that we don't know how that door got smashed. Never know about that.
No idea.
But it was great. Yeah, it was good. We gotta think about where we're gonna go in August again.
Yeah,
there will be a break here again in August, right? A week.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're getting a week off again.
Let me ask you, what do you normally do to unwind? What's the perfect lazy day on your books?
Lazy day?
Yeah.
God, I just watch copious amounts of American good TV shows. My favorite thing to do is
what's a good American TV show? Sorry.
What at the moment?
Yeah, something that you.
What have I just watched? I just watched Mindhunter, new Netflix show. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, it's about the first people to come up with how to identify serial killers. So it's really about psychology and understanding psychopaths. It's really interesting. I'd recommend it. My favourite thing to do though is cinema. That is my favourite place in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
You go once a week, don't you?
Yeah. Well, or more than that.
Or more than that.
Yeah. Whenever if I've got like a free evening, I'll just go to the cinema, watch film. Something I find so soothing about being in that dark room with the nice acoustics, and then you sit there for 2 hours watching hopefully a good film. It's my favourite thing to do.
Very nice. And do you have a favourite place to be with your family?
I love my family holidays. We've always done it. Ever since I was a kid, we've always gone on holiday together, and we still do. So I think that's my favourite thing to do with the fam.
You guys go once a year? Do you guys
try to? Yeah. I'm not sure.
How does it work now with your sister?
He comes along. The brother-in-law. Yeah, he loves it. He's been on the past few holidays with us. We've gone to Poland together.
You get along well
Italy.
with him?
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's
That's good. That's good. My sister's she's gonna get married in October, and yeah,
she's
it's
got a
good
good
when
man.
yeah, she's got a good man beside her,
That's
and
what you want, right?
it is what you want, man. It is what you want. It pleases you very much, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that as well. Um, do you have or follow any morning routines or rituals?
My rituals. Breakfast, obviously. That's a ritual. My favourite meal of the day.
Is it?
Breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have breakfast for lunch and dinner if it was nutritionally viable.
What's breakfast then? Tell me what's breakfast.
Breakfast. I like just fruit, cereals, whole grain foods, coffee. Yeah, it changes, but it's
Love
great.
it.
Yogurt.
I would have that 3 times a day if I could. Says Joe.
Would love it. When times get desperate and yeah, I'm having porridge for dinner. Like that happens.
What's your how are you a Brexiteer or
Brexiteer.
yeah?
As in,
What I mean, do you support Brexit? What's your view in regards of
no, I don't.
the current political state of the United Kingdom?
I'm. What's that?
That's probably yeah.
Is that someone here?
So yeah, I was just saying that
Brexiteer.
Brexiteer.
I really don't get involved in politics.
Do you follow any of the news? I mean, do
I
you
don't watch the news.
You don't watch the news?
No, I think it's very negatively wired. I know you should pay attention to some news, but I think the way it's set up is a bit wrong because it's like I was in the gym the other day, and you know in the gym, the gym that's now closed, they've got the news 24/7 news on repeat, which I think is mental. Like, you shouldn't have news 24/7. I think that's crazy. But like a story pops up, there's no sound, so all you're seeing is the visuals, and everyone's face is solemn. Like the story is always about someone's been murdered in some town up in North England. It's just like, that's sad. It's really sad that that's happened, but I don't know why you're telling everyone. Like, people die all the time. Like, every second of every day someone dies. Why is that accepted as news? I think that's gonna, in effect, carry on. It will make people think that way. Do you know what I mean? If everyone's wired to always talk about the sad stuff, then that's how people are gonna be. It's not beneficial.
Those are perspectives as well. I mean, when you look back at the terror attacks here in London that recently happened, that two officers, I think they got killed. That one that happened in Westminster.
The bridge attack.
The bridge attack, exactly. Yeah. Gosh, I mean that's big news for two people that died, right? And we get places in the world where tons of people are dying every day on civil war,
Yeah.
And it's all different perspectives, because obviously here you don't get to hear people being killed in the outskirts of London on a daily basis because someone tried to steal your car. Do you know what I mean? So when something like that happens, which is good, I think it's great, because it shows that you're in a safe place. When someone gets stabbed, fucking hell, that's big news. Whereas in other places, if you go to Brazil, mate, someone got stabbed. Oh,
I just don't understand why people need to know it though.
Yeah,
It's not helpful, is it? It's not going to benefit anyone. It's just going to make people scared. It's like my friends that live back home and in the north, they're always asking, oh, do you feel nervous walking around in London with all these acid attacks and these murders? It's just like, no, I don't. I go about my business like nothing's changed. But because the news reports it in such a way, they think everyone's on edge all the time.
But I think that's the goal. That's the aim. If you look at that Michael
to scare people.
Yes, exactly. You look at the Michael Moore documentary about 9/11, right? And then 5,000 people, I think that's the number that people died on the attack on the Twin Towers. And America got absolutely shut down in many ways. So he was just interviewing people on the outskirts, the very countryside of Idaho, a state like far away from New York State,
Yeah.
and people like in a very tiny village, scared, being interviewed about, what do you think about those terror attacks, and people like, oh yeah, we're gonna go back home early tonight. But the power of media, people watching on the telly what was happening. New York City, in Manhattan. It's not even like you can whatever happened on that day in Manhattan. If you're up north in New York City, you'd be fine. I know people that were in the city at the day. It was horrible. Things, yeah, but you know what I mean. You personally, your personal safety, even on that city when that happened. You're not gonna suffer anything from directly yourself or your family from what happened there. But the power of news, the way that they scare you, they manage to control society. They manage to control you. So
it feels that way, doesn't it? Like,
it
there's got to be
does.
a reason behind it.
Imagine your friends asking you, don't you? That's crazy. You feel safe like going out. I mean, what if somebody would just now outside the street here come with some acid spray and spray your eyes with it? It's just not exactly how things happen, But then when you get news out of occasional events like that, people just tend to, I don't know, transform into this big monster. That
well, it was like that scare of, it was about 2 months ago when two guys were having a fight in Oxford Circus tube station.
Oh yeah.
And then it got completely blown out of proportion. There was a big stampede of people because panic set in. It's all over the news. Everyone's messaging you, are you safe? Is everything okay? Like that's what can happen because people are so attuned to be scared, and it's
and people start saying, I mean, for everything that happens these days, if it's out of normal, people use the word terror way too often. I think anything nowadays, first thing people, if it's
is it a terror attack?
It's a terror attack. They connect with terror. Like,
it's the first thing the police say, is that we don't think it's linked to terror. It's just like, okay, well, why is that?
I think it's a very clever way to control the masses in many ways. Like on that day that you're saying about the Oxford Circus thing that happened, fight that happened. I myself didn't even know there was an actual fight. So, but I was messaging people in the day. I think it was a Friday evening. I think I messaged you. I messaged Jacob. I messaged my housemate, because I know that he works in the West End on every evening, and everybody was messaging each other, and then it's just absolutely crazy, Absolutely,
it's good in a way that you can check that, and like you get the news, so you can check all your friends are okay.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? The way everyone's wired. I was listening to the radio the other day, and the news came on, and the reporter comes on and he's like, two people in Japan have been killed from gone off sticky rice or something. And it was just like, why are you telling me that 2 people in Japan have died from some gone off food? Like, that's not news, is it? I literally laughed. It's awful. 2 people have died, but like, fucking hell. There's real shit to talk about.
You gotta make news somehow, don't you?
2 people have died in Japan after eating gone off sticky rice. Okay.
Crazy shit, man.
Sort it out.
Let me just go through some of my roller coaster questions with you, Joe. Those are questions that I actually do to all of my guests. So let's go for the first one. What's your spiritual practice, if any at all? Are you spiritual at all?
I'm spiritual, not religious, I don't think. I guess if you were to put a label on it, you'd say agnostic. Agnostic is believing in something, right?
I'm not sure. Yeah, is it?
I think it is. Jamie, get that up.
Jamie?
This is when he comes in handy. Yeah, I believe in something. I meditate, and I believe that there's a reason we're all here, and everything. There's a reason for everything existing, and I think we're all part of the same thing. I think we're all connected in some existential way, and I don't think it's possible to understand it or make sense of it. But I think the one thing that I do believe in is that everyone should abide to good morals, being a good person, being selfless, because that leads to everything good in life, right? If everyone is selfless and generous and good, then we're living in a world full of love, and that's essentially what we all want, right?
Absolutely. And you're right, agnostic, a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God. So not exactly what you meant, is it?
Say that again.
A person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God.
I think I understand that, yeah.
Yeah. Skeptical, doubting, relating to agnostics or funny, interesting word.
You believe that there is something, basically.
You asking me?
I think that's that's how I make sense of that.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Yeah. You believe that? Well, so that's what you meant.
I guess so. But I don't go around saying I'm agnostic. I just think there's something.
Fair enough. What would someone who doesn't like you say about you?
Who doesn't like me? That's a very interesting question. Doesn't like me. I reckon people would probably say I'm a bit stuffy. They might say I can be a bit
stuffy.
I could be a bit of a know-it-all, maybe a bit judgmental.
Really, you? I can't see you like that.
I think I can be. I don't think it's necessarily always a bad thing. I quickly assess people, I think, because I often get surprised by people, and I'm all for that. But yeah, I guess if someone
for the
didn't,
good and for the bad.
Yeah. My initial judgment of people is often wrong, which is great. I like being wrong. But yeah, if someone doesn't like me, I reckon that's probably why. They might call me a bit snobby, but I'm not snobby.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what were my first impressions of you.
I think I can be quite unapproachable.
Yeah, but I don't think not snobby. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I don't think you come across snobby.
That's good.
You come across, I think, as a very that's the way I see it. Like, don't want to use the word focused. I want to use something that would put you as a very centered, like very kind of like straight kind of guy. You know, very down to earth, perhaps. You know, and polite and educated and well spoken as well. I think that's how I remember you from your days at reception doing the mixing thing. Nice. Now I have a completely different view about you, Joe. Things went south, my friend, since we
started partying.
Right. What's your view about money?
Money. I think it's important. I think everybody needs money, but I think if money is your motivator, you're going to be a very unhappy person. I think everybody should strive to find a vocation in life that they like and they love, and money should be seen as a byproduct of it. It should never be the sole motivation to do anything. It should fall into your hands accidentally, because essentially we want to be happy, and that the happiness comes from real things, and money isn't real. Money's just paper created by banks. It's limited.
I agree 100%. 100%.
It comes, it goes. You could be a happy poor person, you could be a happy rich person. The thing that ties them both together is how you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What's a perfect day on Joe's life?
Perfect day in my life.
I mean, just like you look back and say, today was a pretty damn good day.
I would say there's two two options for my perfect day. One option would be to be on an adventure with friends and have a roller coaster day where you just like, fuck me, we've done so much today. Like whether you're in Portugal or whether you're climbing a mountain, then you're in a pub, and then you're in someone's house, and maybe you're going to a gig, and you have this full day of adventures.
Portugal had some perfect days, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the dream, right? You want to be free to live.
If people are wondering when we say Portugal, it's just because we went on a holiday last year, me, Joe, and a couple of other friends.
No, where was it?
Lagos? No.
Lagos, yeah.
Lagos, Algarve, south of Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm touching the mic.
And and we had...
It's great. Found some nice
great.
beaches.
Yeah, we went kayaking.
Bitches on beaches.
We still trying to get my accent right when I try to differentiate two words, beach and beaches.
Bitches on the beach.
Beaches on the beach.
Beaches on the beach. I love that you struggle with that word. So yeah, that would be option one. But the other option is, like my favorite thing to do is to be on a film set working. I am in my complete element when I'm working.
And you feel that?
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling. It's like, it's the closest I can get to being my true self. I think it feels so right to be there, and yeah, I think that it's happiness.
You gotta put yourself into that environment more often than, man.
Yeah, I do.
Somehow, I don't know, go serve coffees to the crew, go be the director of something, go be the star of whatever.
Well, me and Jack are writing. You know? We're writing. We're writing a show.
You're writing something?
Yeah, we're meeting it regularly to try and come up with this TV show.
That's interesting, huh?
Based on our life, really. But yeah, I think that the idea of that really excites me, because I think the idea that we have, it's very early days, it's very of the zeitgeist. It's very what's the word? It's very topical of the moment, and the beauty of it is it's based on our life, so it's not like anyone can steal this idea because only we've lived our lives. So there's no danger of it of being made before, and it feels right. So I think the idea that we could make something, create this show ourselves, write something, star in it, produce it, direct it, whatever. That feels like something that could be a bit of a key,
definitely,
to this life.
That's good. That's a very nice thing to hear. That you're writing something really, really good.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's very early days, but I think if we're disciplined and we're meeting up regularly, then.
But that's that thing we were saying. You started something, right? You talked about something, and the idea is there, and you're already working on it. As long as you know, either the two of you or one of you, like, really knock on each other's door and keep meeting regularly, and let's do this and let's keep doing it.
Yeah, we're trying to. I'm taking the reins, setting us homework and things. Arranging meetings. We've got a separate conversation for it. You got to give it some direction, haven't you? So yeah, try and do that. But this is amazing to see that you've actually. I remember when you first started discovering podcasts and you wanted to do one yourself. It must be really satisfying to actually. You've done 7 now.
Yeah, it was a year ago. Really, it was just. I mean, literally, I think April last year. I had no idea what a podcast was all about. And then I started listening to podcasts, and it was just like, wow, that's a great way to spend time, while I'm making breakfast or, in the tube, instead of listening to music all the time, because that's what I used to do. Music. Sometimes I would be listening to the same old thing, on the loop, because that's the music that I had on my iPod, and then all of a sudden, boom, information.
Yeah.
And
what way to learn as well, just to have someone talking about something they know about that you don't, and you can still be getting on about your business
and points of view about life and how to approach things, and it's just a great communication. What's the word? great communication
medium.
exactly. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It feels good because just me and you now. God, hour and 45 chatting. You know what I mean?
And it's nice to just chat. Like
It's
it's literally
no
focused
compromise.
conversation.
Yeah, focused conversation. Because as well, I think there's when it's weird, but I do feel it when I sit down here and I put on the headphones and I'm chatting with you, because it's on the record. Even though I'm not thinking that it's on the record, but I mean, it's kind of like right here, right now, we're committed to this. It's not that we're sitting in a pub and then you're gonna go to the toilet or you're gonna grab a beer or someone will come around and you're gonna say sorry or excuse me. Here you sit down face to face. You're committed. Let's just talk. You know, about whatever. And there's a great sense of accomplishment. I think when achievement, I suppose, when you can do that.
And just following through with an idea. Like I think we all have ideas that we can say like, well, I really want to do this. But actually following through, investing in the gear, sitting down, arranging guests, and actually following through with it, that must be really satisfying for you to.
Yeah, it is good. It is. I find it really cool the fact that obviously in order to do this, I need to know Joe. I need to know A, B, C, and D, and I need these people to be willing to spare their time and come down here and sit with me for God knows how long, 2 hours on our case today, and I think that's very fulfilling. Would that be the word? No, what's the word? Very fulfilling. Yeah, fulfilling. Because it shows that people kind of like they're your friends, or somehow they admire you, because some people don't even know that well, but they know a little bit about you and they met you. Like I had James Poole, I was mentioning to you on Friday here. I mean, I met the guy just once in a festival last year, and I've been an admirer of his amazing running skills and everything that he's been up to on his life, really. And I just tried to get the guy over here, and he said, yeah, mate, of course, let's do it. And somehow that means something. Do you know what I mean? Like people spare their time to come, especially in a city like London. It's big. If everybody here is on the clock, you work your hours at work, you make the money. Your spare time is your spare time. You want to go home and do your thing, and so to actually give people time, it's a very.
It's nice to be reminded that people are willing to do it, isn't it? It's quite, what's the word? Having your faith in humanity restored.
It
just
is.
that people actually are quite nice.
Yeah.
Like people are willing to help you out, and it's not even helping. It's people want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to be reminded of that, because I think especially living in a city like London, you can think the worst of people at times. So yeah, when you see someone be quite selfless, it's really important, I think.
Yeah, so in that sense, it's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool, and self-learning and all that. It's great. Yeah, so I'm sure you're gonna be a regular on this thing. We're gonna have way many conversations. And
I think conversations it's a skill that people are going to get worse at it with the way technology's going. People rely on Messenger and dating apps and like Snapchat and things like that. The way people communicate is changing, I think, and I don't think
drastically.
I don't think it's a good thing. I think by all means accept change, and technology is always, it's going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. Like things are going to progress faster and faster, but stay true to what makes us human, which is humanity. It's conversation. It's talking to people about the simple things. And just sitting down having a conversation with someone is something that people don't do. There's nothing more annoying when you're in a pub with someone and they get the phone out and things. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're here now. We're here.
What I find really weird, actually, is the fact that you are normally the guy that never puts your phone on the table.
Yeah, I don't know
and
why
during our podcast today, you had your phone on the table.
I really don't know. Have I did that recently?
I think
has it
so.
been on since the word go?
No, I think recently. Yeah, I think it wasn't.
It's gone.
It's gone. Right, I have two more roller coaster questions for you. They're not that of a roller coaster, but there you go. What kind of food do you go for when in need of a treat?
In need of a treat. Ice cream.
Yeah?
Ice cream, man. I love the stuff. I'm fairly sure I'm lactose intolerant because, my God, do I get trumpy afterwards.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, like immediately have to go to the toilet. But fucking hell, I love it. Any flavour. This is why I think the main reason I like Italy, because these gelato shops.
It's fantastic.
Urgh.
How often do you eat ice cream then? How often do you treat
Not
yourself?
often. No, I don't. I can't remember the last time I had it actually.
Oh, wow. Come on. Treat yourself, Joe.
Yeah, I never really go out and buy sugary stuff. I'm quite boring when it comes to food. I just eat the same thing every day, as you know. But yeah, ice cream when it's there, like at the cinema, I'll always get ice cream. It's great.
Well, with that in mind, I'm gonna have to plan on getting some ice cream for our weekend away next weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do. Well,
Not
actually,
on the menu.
it
Our
is actually.
detailed
No.
menu.
I'm sorry. There is ice cream. Yes, it's part of dessert on Friday night. So, yeah, a detailed menu. Yeah, I got really excited about that. You know, it's
I
something
love the
that
fact you did
it's-
that.
and I like it, man. I mean, honestly,
I love
for
an
me,
itinerary.
yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I'm gonna have a ball just doing it. You know, and hopefully it's gonna be as tasty as I expect it
Sure
will,
will.
and then we all gonna
I'll
have
be
a
your
great
sous
time.
chef. Yeah. I'll help prep.
Super. Yeah, I'm
Wash.
definitely gonna need help. Yeah, yeah. Washing up, definitely. I'm not gonna do any wash up.
I can't wait. You know, it's literally we're just gonna be playing house for the weekend, but it's great.
Yeah.
I think because we live in London, everyone lives in house shares. We don't have that kind of sense
Yeah.
of home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I'm excited for it to be this simple weekend of just having a place to ourselves, got a hot tub, just a few friends,
Yeah.
cooking for each other, drinking, having hopefully some shit hot conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That for me is the best. Going back to the question you asked earlier, what's your favorite thing to do? That'll be one of them.
That yeah.
Like quality time.
And very relaxing. You can just like lay all day, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure we won't. I'm sure we'll go for wanders in the forest and shit. But yeah, I think it's a sick idea. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So one last one. What are you reading at the moment, if anything?
I'm trying to adopt your kind of way of reading, which is reading multiple books at the same time. I'm reading three things at the moment. I'm reading Robin Hobb's Live Ship Traders series. I'm on the book 3, which is a fantasy series about dragons and pirates and things like that. It's amazing. I really like it. I'm also reading a play. I only started it the other day called A Long Journeys Into Night. It's by Sam Shepard. It's it's written in the 40s, an American play. And what's the other book? I started To Kill a Mockingbird, which is kind of a staple book, right? That everyone's
I don't
supposed to
know,
have
is
read.
it?
Yeah, it's like a book that's on most people's academic, what's the word, study list in
Okay.
school. I think it's a lot of kids
What
read
is
it
it
in
all
school.
about?
Don't really know yet. It's it starts with a bunch of kids in some town, and I'm one chapter in, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, it's meant to be a classic.
Nice, very good. Did you finish reading The Navigator?
No, I didn't. I need to finish that.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
just got,
halfway through mastery. I've had like
Mastery's great. You can
Yeah,
just
it's
pick it up
great.
and put it down, can't
yeah, it's good. It's a good book. I have it beside my bed. I always read it like 10 minutes when I'm going to bed.
you? They're
It's
quite
always-
meaty chapters, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, each chapter's like 40 pages long or something.
yeah. It's not very long the chapter, so it's really good.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're not. They are short chapters.
they're short chapters.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought, but it's based on different people's.
Different people's life experiences, yeah, it's amazing. Benjamin Franklin, and you have I think who's that one? Michelangelo, I think, as well. It's really interesting to see how Darwin, how do they find their way in life, basically, with their interests and their upbringing, and it's amazing because it kind of revolves around everyone's lives, because it's so easy to just look at people's achievements and good fortunes in life, but then you forget that every single one of us, we go through a lot, man. Nothing comes easy, and your glories, people see your glories, but man, you go back and then you have stuff to do and you have to keep doing it well, and otherwise things just come and go. So yeah, it's a very inspiring book. I like that very much, and yeah, thanks
it's nice to
thanks
remind
for
yourself that
landing
hard
that
work
to me.
pays off, isn't it?
Absolutely. Joe, my friend, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much for coming down.
My pleasure.
And yeah, I'm sure we're gonna do plenty more of those.
Absolutely.
That was the roller coaster. Cheers, Joe. Thanks,
Cheers,
buddy.
bro.
I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, this podcast, as much as I did doing it. So if that's the case, please do follow on Instagram at rollercoastercarl, myself at Carl Casagrande, on Twitter, same thing, Facebook, same thing. Do subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify. That's very, very much appreciated. Thank you, and have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye.